Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today's Star Wars topic is going to be on the Zeffo culture. Since the day Jedi Fallen Order released back in November of 2019, it has become my favorite Star Wars video game since Revenge of the Sith. Besides Cal's backstory on surviving Order 66 and taking the hero's journey to becoming a new type of Jedi Knight, one element in his journey still has my brain going to this day, especially since it's been heavily hinted at in newer Star Wars content. As I mentioned earlier in my video, today I am going to be discussing the mysterious Zeffo species. The Zeffo were first introduced in Jedi Fallen Order, the first game of the series. They were an alien species that also wielded the Force, much like the Jedi, but they refer to it as Life Wind, and those who did wield it became sages, much like Jedi Masters. However, it's believed that they are now extinct, and whatever remains of their temple is nothing but ruins and forgotten artifacts. Except, I don't believe they are entirely gone. Is it possible the Zeffo left to the unknown regions? Before we dive deep into that, let's go back to the basics. The Zeffo sages known as Elrim, Kujet, and Mictrol were buried in elaborate tombs. Over the course of the game, Cal has to travel to these Zeffo tombs, with Ilrum and Mictrol on the planet Zeffo, while Kujet was buried on Dathomir. Elrim is the first Zephonian we discover in the game, and he was best known for his great insight and wisdom. He and his followers were the first to establish a relationship with the Wookiees of Kashyyyk. They loved their culture and love for nature and plants, which is why we see a giant Rocher tree next to his sarcophagus, to symbolize their love for Kashyyyk. Now onto Mictrol, who was once a powerful and prideful sage of the three Zephonians. He was a venerated sage of his people and demanded offerings in the form of candles encased in metal. It's said that their flames represented Mictrol's unending power. However, his followers weren't very keen on Mictrol's power. Some found him to be a bit ruthless due to a few laborers dying from being worked to death for the tomb. Some tried to steal precious relics or offerings from Mictrol, but none survived as they were punished for dishonoring him. Now onto Kujet, the last of the three Zeffo sages. He was known as the greatest, but infamous of the culture's icon. He was the most ruthless, authoritarian, consumed by the dark side of the Force. He ordered the destruction of the astriums the species used in their religious practices. The followers of Kujet were promised power and control over the Life Wind, yet the sage proved to be treacherous and cruel. From the seat of power on Dathomir, Kujet staged a massacre in the halls of his palace, reducing resistance to ash and ruin. When he died, he was entombed within the walls of his great temple. He held one of the last remaining astriums that Cal eventually finds, holding the final key to opening the vault on Bogano, which soon revealed the list of Force-sensitive children within a holocron. Now, if the Zephonians are alive somehow somewhere, where would they run off to? Many fans like myself have come to the conclusion that they went to the unknown regions. Where specifically, it's unknown, obviously. But there have been a few hints. Now recently with the Ahsoka show, it was revealed that at some point in his life, Kujet ruled over the planet Peridia. Certain text on the chamber were very similar to the ones on Dathomir when Cal first visits the planet. The text translates to this: "Praise Kujet, ruler of all, and may his reign last." Zeffo technology was also hinted at in the recent season of The Bad Batch. When the gang stumbles across a giant robot that looks a lot like the Zeffo guards in Jedi Fallen Order, they have no idea who created this technology. The only hint we're given is that it's from an unknown species that were once called the Ancients. It's possible that maybe in the third game, Cal and the crew come across more Zeffo artifacts that possibly lead to more unknown region planets. After all, Tanalorr is on that list, since we never hear about it in other Star Wars content, at least for the time being. If the Zeffo return, I think it would be so cool to see since we know so little about their species. I was personally always fascinated by them every time I explored new areas on the planet Zeffo. It forced me to dig deep within those temples and find every piece of information I could find to learn more about them. Maybe Kujet's followers remain somewhere out there. And it's possible that Cal's greatest threat is yet to come. That's all I have for now, my Padawan learners. Have an awesome day, and may the Force be with you, always.